everyone, welcome to another test ride video on my channel. My name is Marshall3498 and today I'm on a 2021 Royal Enfield Himalayan, a little inexpensive starter adventure bike that I really been wanting to test out and see what it's like. First impressions are bike is really light. These bikes, let me start out by saying some of my review is not going to be all on specs. It's going to be about more about first impressions riding. And this dealer up here, let me start out by saying, are in southwestern Virginia, Motorhead Junction, or Moto Gear Junction. I don't remember the exact name. Sorry, I'll put a link in the description. These guys are fantastic. This is the owner in front of me, and because I'm not used to the area, he offered to take me on a little test ride loop and show me around. You know, they have no problem letting me test ride by myself, but I was like, look, I'm not from the area. And he goes, well, he asked me about how long I wanted to ride, so he graciously took me on a little test ride route. And first impressions on the bike, it feels really light compared to my 2016 Yamaha FJR 1300. But this little bike's awesome. No vibration hardly at all. You know, granted the bikes, they're only 411 cc's, they only make like 25 horsepower and like 30 pounds of torque. So they're not fast, but for $5,000 US, just, you know, retail before any dealer prep fees or any of that stuff, pretty hard to beat it. I'm wanting a bike like this for a second bike, for an adventure bike, just to start out on and get my feet wet. And so far this little bike rocks. Even for a single cylinder bike, it has very small little bits of vibration. And you know, we're not going to be flying or break any records here, but you know, that's what it's not about. It's about having fun and doing some adventure motorcycling. Motorcycles aren't always about how fast they are. It's about the experience you get. If the bike speaks to you and puts a smile on your face, and that's what it's all about. You know, one thing I have noticed about the bike is the riding position is, you know, true adventure bike, so to speak, riding position. Your back is straight up and down, although the feet does cant your butt forward a little bit, but that's okay, because I think it's made that way for newer riders or maybe shorter riders, and that makes it easier to touch the ground. I am 5 foot 10 inches tall with a 32-inch inseam, and I can flat foot this bike with my knees bent. So, you know, a new off-road rider, or even a shorter rider, new to off-road, or a new rider in general, that right there really helps, because if you get in some situation where the trail you're on is a little canted to one way, or you're riding in ruts, that makes it much easier for, you know, like I said, a new adventure rider to touch the ground much better. But so far I can't complain about the bike at all. You know, it just, you know, it has right at 8 inches of suspension travel. So not travel, sorry, ground clearance. Clutch is weird though. That's the second time I've done that. The clutch pulls immediately off the bar. Of course, that can be adjusted a little bit if you have to, but that's one thing I'm not used to. But never been on the bike before, but I mean, I'm not even giving it half throttle, and it just, you know, it makes lots of low end torque, because these motors are a long stroke motor, so they're made to make a lot of torque down low to chug up through trails without having to really give it a lot of power, which helps the bike stay more planted, where you're not spinning up the motor real hard and then you spin the rear tire on some stickier situations. But you know, the bike's geared low, because you know, it's meant to be a small adventure bike, or a small adventure touring bike, or just, it would be a really great bike for around town city stuff. If you lived in, you know, a place where you didn't have a lot of 4-lane interstate, these bikes will do, I've seen on YouTube, they will do 75, maybe 78 miles an hour, but they're really not happy at being that. But the little bike, you know, they only weigh like 432 pounds, so they're really light. Even that 21-inch front wheel with a 17 rear, very flickable, and it, even with basically 50/50 tires, I'm in the wrong gear there, it does not like that, but that's okay, it just chugs on along, no big deal. But yeah, the bike's, you know, for the money, you know, they're really hard to beat. Hardly no vibration at all, and you know, front brake is a little weak. I did notice that leaving the dealer, but that can that's just one of those things. You either can put a different set of pads on it, or you just get used to it. But you know, I'm used to a bike with, you know, basically, you know, super bike spec brakes, 320 millimeters, dual front disc with FJR, and that has. And this, I think, only has like a 280 millimeter single disc. So, you know, I mean, but the bike's got good components. They're easy to work on. They're air and oil cooled. The radiator to put a puncture in riding off road, simpler, less maintenance, less stuff to go wrong. And the bikes are, I mean, you know, windshield's doing a decent job at, you know, 45 miles an hour, but I'm heading into a lot of wind today. It's pretty windy here. You might be able to see that by those trees moving right there. But you know, the bike just doesn't complain. I'm pretty impressed. You know, this is what this bike is really best at, is stuff like this, you know, 45, 50 mile an hour, little back road, just cruising, enjoying out being on a motorcycle. And I tried to adjust the mirrors before I left the dealer, and I have them all kind of out of whack. So if I'm moving my head at all to see in the mirror in the video, I apologize, because very hard to see. But you know, one hand on the bar, bike's pretty stable. This road's pretty bumpy. You can feel it throughout the chassis, but it's not upsetting the bike anyway, and it's soaking most of it up, and it doesn't really care. There's nothing really transferred other than to the pegs, and very little in the bars. But you know, pretty smooth for what the bike is, and I can see why these things sell well. My thing is, with this bike, I want to try it out because, you know, I want this bike for a second adventure bike, or for a second motorcycle to start doing some light off-roading and adventure riding. And if I drop this, I'm not going to be that upset. I still would be, but I'm not going to be as upset if I dropped a $10,000 used Africa Twin. You know what I mean? So that's the money thing in me. But you know, the bike's pretty good. You know, whoa, that wind is crazy today, though. Pretty gusty too. And you know, of course, it's going to move around. A little lightweight bike like this, it would move me around on something heavier. But bike's pretty good. I can't complain about it at all. Like I said, I've been wanting to ride one of these, and this dealer up here in Virginia, awesome people. Motor Head or Motor Gear Junction. Like I said, I'll put in the link down in the description. But these guys are really cool. This is actually the owner. It's a little mom and pop dealer. You know, they got a couple mechanics, and the lady that I scheduled the test ride gave her a heads up that I was going to be showing up today. You know, they're just really good, down-to-earth people, and I'd much rather purchase a motorcycle from, you know, just a mom-and-pop shop, everyday person, than a huge dealer. I feel like you get more of a personal experience that way, but that's just me. There's gravel or something all over this road. Sorry if there's a little bit of wind noise. Oh God, yeah, they're doing road work. This is this is not great. Just kind of take it easy here. I don't know if they're sweeping off the road or what they're doing on the other side, but that's pretty dusty. Sorry. Can't breathe. Whew. Of course, that won't come out in video, I'm sure. But, you know, I mean, these bikes, you know, for what their intended purpose are, I can see why they're popular. Because I'm impressed already, and I've only been on it like 5 minutes. But, you know, like I said, that brake, you just have to squeeze that lever just a little harder. I really just moved my finger more towards the end of the bar, so that way I was grabbing it more, and that seemed to help a lot of it. But the bike does come with ABS front and rear. The model I'm on is a Euro 4 version, not a Euro 5, because this is a US bike. They didn't get the Euro 5 updates, the small little navigation thing that goes here. It didn't take the Richner thing away, or some of the pollution stuff. All up underneath the skid plate. Himalayan riders will know what I'm speaking about. They did a few things like that, and they made the ABS switchable where you can turn it off in the rear. This one, I don't know if it has that. I don't think it does. But you know, they did a few little changes to it here and there. I know there's just a few little small changes, nothing major. And they got rid of, on the Euro 5 model, they got rid of this enricher choke, whatever it is. It literally doesn't stay down like a regular choke, though. The owner told me it's really for just something when it's, say, like under 50 degrees, you just kind of pull it down, and it just helps to get the bike started a little bit easier. But you know, the 2022s, the US models, hopefully we'll get that update, and that'll get rid of some of that stuff. And the little nav thing would be really cool, because you got just a pod. It pairs with your phone with an app, and then you got your little directions right there. You don't have to have your phone screen on. Life is good. So I think that'd be kind of cool, even though, you know, if you're really hardcore adventure riding, you're going to need a little more than that. But if you're just buzzing around town, trying to get to destination, I think that would be useful and helpful. Because, you know, you can put your phone underneath the seat or in your pocket or something like that, and wouldn't have to worry about looking down at your phone, and your phone being out in the weather as much. So, but, you know, I mean, I'm not going to flog on it because it's not my bike, but, I mean, it doesn't seem slow to me. Everybody's like, it needs more power, it needs more power. I don't really think it does, as long as you use it for the purpose it's intended to. 4-lane sub, 2-lane back road. Don't expect this bike to be able to get on the interstate and, you know, pass 7 miles going uphill at 80 miles an hour. But, you know, that's what it's intended to do. But for stuff like this little bike's awesome. Want to try it standing up, see how it feels. Oh yeah, that feels pretty nice actually. My legs are straight, arms feel pretty comfortable. Feels a little weird standing up because, you know, I'm a 100% street rider. But that felt pretty nice, pretty comfortable to me. You know, the bike's got decent amount of suspension travel. It's got 9.8 inches of ground clearance. I think it's something like 7.5 inches of suspension travel, front and rear, somewhere in that range. Like I said, this is not a spec review. This is more of a first impression. But you know, the little bike's just, it's fun. It's light, it's easy to handle. The clutch would take a little bit getting used to, but I've ridden lots of different bikes. That's not that big of a deal. But you know, the bike gets like 65-70 miles a gallon, so that's nice. It's got right out a 4-gallon tank. I've heard of people online where they get something like over 200 miles on one tank, which is pretty incredible. And I'm sure the bike is rated for 87 octane too, which makes it even cheaper because you buy cheaper gas. But you know, the bike's fun. I really like it. That's the bad part. You know, but you know, I've ridden, you know, $20,000 BMW GS's that hadn't put as much smile on my face as this, because it's just simple, back to basic motorcycle. It's still got ABS. It has all the stuff you need, but nothing you don't. Like they say, since simplistic bikes, it's a hard word to say. But you know, there's 5th gear, 40 miles an hour, 3,000 RPM, just chugs on along. I can see why everybody likes these so much. And you know, even though it is air and oil cooled, and the exhaust is by my right leg, I feel no engine heat, no exhaust heat, nothing. And it's pretty warm today. But I mean, the gauge stuff's cool. You got the compass thing that, you know, everybody kind of, some people like it, some people hate it, but it's kind of cool that it's there, I think. You know, you got an actual fuel gauge, you got a tach, you got a speedometer, you got an outside temperature, the time, which is not right on this one. It's not 6:30 p.m., but whatever. Your outside temp, you got trips, odometer. You know, life's good. I think this may, yeah, well, it says 10 miles and the trip says 10 miles, so I think this bike's only got 10 miles of speedometer and 10 miles on the trip, maybe. Yeah, these things are awesome. This road is kind of grooved, kinda like it's not been paved completely the rest of the way. And of course, you're not going to see it on camera, but the bike doesn't seem to care. You know, there's 45 miles an hour. I'm just kind of taking it easy, not being too hard on it. Bike does fine. Doesn't care. You know, holds the road good, nimble. The brakes are decent. But you can, I've ridden enough bikes now and ridden long enough. If you just adjust your braking zone just a little bit earlier, I don't see how that would be a problem. You could always upgrade the pads if you wanted a more snappier, but off-road, that's what a lot of people want, is softer front brake especially. And the front brake definitely seems a little softer than the rear. And you know, if the rear you know, was to lock up, if you pulled the ABS fuse or disabled it, then that's what you want. A lot of people want a better rear brake off-road and less of a front brake, and that's what this bike gives you. A lot of people even have said about the stock tires. Sorry guys, nose is itching. A lot of people even said about the stock tires are pretty decent on just gravel stuff. So if you're like me and if you want to start an adventure bike or you're a new rider and want to start doing a little light off-road like fire roads, gravel, stuff like that, a lot of people say it's more than up to it. The owner even offered me, he said, we got some gravel roads around here, I tested on that. I was like, no, not my bike, not ridden on gravel road. Thanks for the offer, but no thanks. And he was like, oh, okay, no problem. But that was cool, you know. He wanted to show me all what the bike's intended to do. And, you know, like I said, for $5,000, pretty hard to beat. The warranty on these things is a 2-year warranty from the factory with unlimited mileage. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they do that, but most of your you know, Japanese motorcycle manufacturers, you get a year and a mileage limit, and if you don't pay extra, that's all you get. But you know, the riding position is comfortable. It's a traditional adventure bike ride position, although my legs aren't quite, sorry, my knees and my legs aren't quite 90 degrees, almost like some, but I'm used to more of aggressive feet position, so that doesn't bother me, but it's really comfortable. The bike's really thin. There's no vibration to the bars hardly at all, just the road imperfections. Of course, your pegs have rubber inserts that you can pull out when you get riding more aggressively off-road. But there's, I mean, literally the only vibration I feel at all is maybe a little bit in the seat, and maybe just the bars reacting to the road surface, and that's it. Motor, all that silky smooth, 4,000 RPMs right at it, 50 miles an hour. Bike doesn't care. Like I said, I'm not going to vlog any more than this. This is what I would use the bike for, stuff like this. And I think it'd be a really good candidate for me. If you have a local dealer around you somewhere within a couple hours driving distance or farther that lets you test ride a Himalayan, I really think you should test ride one and see what you think. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Would I buy this bike? For me, absolutely. Tomorrow if I could afford it, but that's okay. But it's just a simple bike. It's easy to ride. There's nothing intimidating. You know, the windshield does a pretty decent job. I have wind just on the top part of my chest, like at my collarbone and on my helmet, even with no bark busters, anything on. There's not very much in my hands. I don't know if the windshield is funneling that air away from it, but I do have wind on my forearms, of course. The bottom part of my legs that aren't wrapped around the little tank guards thing down here, and that's about it. Oh Lord. And we're on a road that has a 65-mile speed limit, and yeah, I'm not going to push you harder than this, so no. 50 miles an hour is what I'm comfortable with, and that's what I'm right at. And if people want to go around, they can just go ahead and do it. I don't care. Oh, good. We're getting off that. I was like, you know, not my bike. I don't really want to run it on most of the red line and stuff like that. That's good enough for me. But I mean, going uphill at 50 miles an hour, bike didn't really care. And really impressed the little bike. Absolutely. What a fantastic motorcycle. Hard to believe, like Sean Smoke said, hard to believe these bikes are get this much bike for this amount of money. And you know, don't expect it to do some stuff it's not meant for, but for the money, man, they're hard to beat. They really are. I'm super impressed with what the bike's capable of. And you know, the price point is what makes it. I mean, if it was, you know, these bikes are about $1,000 less than a 250 dual sport, so how can you really complain a whole lot? I can't. We're going back to the other now. It's a pretty good little ride. So on that, guys, If you've got any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. I do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. If you've not already done so, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, as I normally upload once a week on my channel. And give me a thumbs up, share the video. I'm at 805 subscribers as of recording this, and I'd love to make 1,000 before 2022. So on that, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.